Hello dear students, welcome back to biology online CET coaching classes, and in this video also I am continuing the same chapter, and it is digestion and absorption for the purpose of competitive exams. And today in this video I am going to explain about the two important digestive glands associated with the alimentary canal, particularly the duodenum of small intestine. So in the previous videos, I explained about the remaining digestive glands such as salivary glands, intestinal glands and gastric glands along with their composition. What is the pH of particular juice secreted by these glands? What are the different enzymes which are present in the juices, and for the digestion of which particular molecule they are required? So in this video, I am going to explain about the very important gland of digestive system associated with the alimentary canal. It is liver. Liver is largest gland of the human body. The weight of the liver is 1.5 kg. So whatever the total weight of the person is calculated, say for it is 40 or 45, in that 1.5 kg of the weight is alone represented by liver. That is why it is the largest gland of human body. It is bilobed, having larger right lobe and small left lobe. It is bilobed, means having two lobes. One is larger right lobe and another is smaller left lobe. And each lobe is formed of many hepatic lobules which are considered as functional units. Each lobe of the liver, it is formed of hepatic lobules. Hepatica refers to liver. Lobes of the liver are made up of hepatic lobules, and hepatic lobules represents functional units of the liver. A lobule has many hepatic cells arranged as radiating plates around a central vein, and they secrete alkaline bile juice. All the terms are very important with respect to the study of liver. See, this is the image of liver, and here you can see where exactly liver is located in the body and where it is associated. As I told in the beginning, the liver is attached to duodenum of small intestine. It is the largest gland of the human body. What is its weight? It is 1.5 kg. The liver is bilobed structure with larger right lobe. In the image also you can clearly see how much large it is. Right lobe of the liver is larger one and left lobe is smaller than that of right lobe. So due to the presence of two lobes, the liver is called bilobed structure. Then each lobe of the liver is made up of hepatic lobules. That means both right lobe and left lobe are consisting of hepatic lobules, and hepatic lobules therefore referred to as functional units. Name the functional units of the liver, or among which of the following the functional units of the liver are correctly mentioned? The answer is hepatic lobules. So hepatic lobules are the functional units. Both right lobe and left lobe of the liver are made up of hepatic lobules. A lobule has many hepatic cells arranged in the form of radiating plates. Here is the arrangement of hepatic cells. See, with respect to liver, the hepatica is the term used. Renal refers to kidney, cardiac refers to heart. Like that, hepatica is used in reference to liver. So, lobes of the liver are made up of hepatic lobules, and a lobule has, every single lobule contains many hepatic cells which are arranged as radiating plates. This is the arrangement of hepatic cells, and all these are arranged around a central vein. This is the central vein around which the hepatic cells are arranged in the form of radiating plates, and these hepatic cells are secreting alkaline juice called bile juice. Therefore, the secretion of the liver is called bile juice, and it is alkaline in nature. The only one acidic, highly acidic secretion of digestive glands is nothing but gastric juice, because the gastric juice contains HCl, and due to the presence of HCl, the gastric juice is highly acidic in nature. These are the cells. Every single cell you can see here, it is hepatocyte. The hepatocyte and hepatic cell, both of them are same. These are the hepatocytes or hepatic cells, and they are arranged around the central vein. And these hepatocytes or hepatic cells are secreting the alkaline juice called bile juice. All the terms are very important. Again, I am reminding you, try to concentrate on the terms. Then moving to the next one. A lobule has many hepatic cells arranged as cords around central vein, and they secrete the alkaline juice. And one more very important term of this explanation you need to remember. Liver is covered by Glissen's capsule. Covering of the liver is referred as Glissen's capsule. So, in the previous slide, here it is hepatocyte or hepatic cells. All of them are arranged around the central vein. The covering of the hepatic lobule, it is called the Glissen's capsule, liver lobule. Every hepatic lobule is covered by Glissen's capsule. Try to remember the term. The covering of the liver lobule is called Glissen's capsule. Then moving to the next one. How exactly the bile is transported from liver to duodenum? Then question is, why the bile juice is transported to duodenum? Because the food whichever it is taken into the stomach, it is moving from stomach into small intestine, and first part of the small intestine is duodenum. Either into the liver or into the pancreas, there will be no transport of the masticated or partially digested food. The passage of the food or the route of the food is from mouth to the pharynx, pharynx to the esophagus, esophagus to stomach, and stomach to small intestine. Then finally, the undigested food, it passes from small intestine into the large intestine. So in these glands, whether it is liver or it is pancreas, there will be no transportation of the food, so that secretion of the liver, that is alkaline bile juice, and the secretion of pancreas, that is pancreatic juice, both of them act on the food components only in the duodenum, and without these juices there will be no complete digestion of lipid, carbohydrate as well as protein. Particularly for lipid digestion, the bile juice is very much essential. So let us concentrate what is the transport or path for the transport of bile from liver to duodenum. How exactly it is transported, and this is the image to show the clear arrangement of all the ducts along with liver and pancreas, and bile juice is stored inside the gallbladder. This is how it is located within the body and it is attached to the duodenum. This is the duodenum part of small intestine which receives the duct of liver as well as pancreas. So have a look. What is the path for the transport of bile from liver to the duodenum? So bile is secreted from hepatocytes. Where these hepatocytes are present? They are present in the hepatic lobule. So that bile from hepatocytes is released into hepatic duct. Here you can see the labeling. These are the small ducts arising from the hepatocytes, which is the actual site of secretion of the bile, and they are called hepatic duct. From hepatic duct, the bile is transported to gallbladder. From all the hepatocytes, the very important structural units of the liver, that is hepatocyte. From the hepatocyte, bile is transported into hepatic duct, and these hepatic duct transport the bile into gallbladder. Duct of the gallbladder is called cystic duct. Here you can see the labeling. This is the gallbladder and this is the cystic duct, and from gallbladder the bile is transported into cystic duct. Then from cystic duct to common bile duct. This is the common bile duct, and from the common bile duct, the common hepatopancreatic duct. Common hepatopancreatic duct. What is that? Hepatopancreatic. That means here it receives the hepatic duct as well as it receives pancreatic duct. Both of them are joined here, and that represents common hepatopancreatic duct, and through this common hepatopancreatic duct finally the bile juice is secreted into the duodenum of small intestine. So bile is produced in the hepatocytes. That bile from the hepatocytes through the hepatic duct, it is transported to gallbladder. Duct of the gallbladder is cystic duct, and from that cystic duct to the common bile duct, then to the common hepatopancreatic duct, and finally it is secreted into the or released into the duodenum of small intestine. This is how the bile is transported from liver to the duodenum. Then moving to the next part. Each liver lobule is surrounded by a connective tissue sheath called Glissen's capsule. What is the name for liver lobule? It is called hepatic lobule. Every hepatic lobule is surrounded by a connective tissue which is called Glissen's capsule. See, covering of the liver lobule is called Glissen's capsule. But what type of the tissue is present in the Glissen's capsule? The answer is the Glissen's capsule is made up of connective tissue. And what its function? It surrounds the liver lobule, that is nothing but hepatic lobule. Between the plates are blood-filled hepatic sinusoids. Between the plates of liver lobule, there is presence of hepatic sinusoid. The Kupffer cells, again it is important term to remember. The Kupffer cells present in the sinusoid, they engulf, that means they consume and remove the bacteria and damaged cells from the blood. The bacteria and damaged cells which are present in the blood, they are removed in the Kupffer cells which are present in the sinusoid, hepatic sinusoid of the each liver lobule. On the lower surface of the right liver lobe, there is a thin-walled, pear-shaped sac called gallbladder. Specifically, the term is right liver lobe. So, right liver lobe is larger one, and this right liver lobe, it contains a pear-shaped sac called gallbladder, and this gallbladder stores the bile which is secreted by hepatocytes of the liver. The bile is drained from the liver by bile duct, which is nothing but ductus coleoductus. The complete name of bile duct is ductus coleoductus, which is formed by the joining of cystic duct from the gallbladder and a common hepatic duct from different liver lobules. The same thing what I explained in the previous slide. See, this is hepatic duct arising from all the hepatocytes of the liver, whether it is right lobe or it is left lobe. The right lobe is having small pear-shaped structure called gallbladder, and duct of the gallbladder is called cystic duct. By the joining of hepatic duct and cystic duct, the common bile duct is formed. The common bile duct is formed by the association between hepatic duct arising from hepatocytes and cystic duct of gallbladder. Actually, the gallbladder stores the bile juice which is secreted from hepatocytes of the liver, and a duct of the gallbladder is called cystic duct. It is joining with the hepatic duct, and both of them after joining it is termed as common bile duct. And remember, Glissen's capsule is connective tissue. Between the plates there are the blood filled hepatic sinusoids which containing the Kupffer cells. Kupffer cells remove the bacteria as well as damaged cells from the blood. And here is the image of Kupffer cells. Here the star-like structures, they are nothing but the Kupffer cells. What is their function? The function of the Kupffer cells is to remove the bacteria as well as damaged cells from the blood. Apart from that, these hexagonal cells are nothing but hepatocytes. Actually, they are secreting the bile juice from liver. So, this is about the details of liver structure. And moving to next one, the hepatopancreatic duct function is guarded by sphincter of Oddi. You need to remember these terms very clearly. What is that hepatopancreatic duct? Here, this is common hepatic duct. How it is formed? The common hepatic duct is formed by association between hepatic duct as well as from the cystic duct of gallbladder. So, both of them join to form the common hepatic duct, and this common hepatic duct, it opens along with pancreatic duct, and this represents hepatopancreatic duct, where one is common hepatic duct and another is pancreatic duct. The opening or functioning of hepatopancreatic duct is guarded by the sphincter of Oddi. The hepatopancreatic ampulla and sphincter of Oddi. This is the term of importance. The functioning of the hepatopancreatic duct is guarded by sphincter of Oddi. Remember this particular sphincter. The next one, yes, bile is stored temporarily in the gallbladder until it is needed by the small intestine to emulsify the fats. Again, new term which is very important for examination preparation. Emulsify the fat. That's what in the beginning only I told. Bile juice is very much important in the digestion of fats. So bile which is produced from the hepatocytes of liver, first it is temporarily stored in the gallbladder. Then when it is released into the duodenum, the gallbladder releases the bile juice whenever it is needed by the small intestine to emulsify the fat. What is that emulsification? Later I will explain. See, when this hepatopancreatic duct is needed to open, it is controlled by the functioning of sphincter of Oddi. Bile does not contain any digestive enzyme. Must and should you have to remember. See, all the digestive secretions, whether it is saliva or gastric juice or pancreatic juice, intestinal juice, if you consider all these digestive juices secreted from the different digestive glands, they contain one or another kind of the enzyme required for breakdown of either carbohydrate or protein or lipid. But the interesting fact is that bile juice, simply it is referred as bile also. Bile juice is the only digestive juice which does not contain any digestive enzymes. Then question is, when it don't have any enzyme for the digestion purpose, why it is produced and why it is so important? Of course, the bile juice is without enzymes. There are no enzymes for the digestion of carbohydrate, but it contains the bile pigments called bilirubin and biliviridin. These are the two pigments which are present in the bile juice. And bile salts. The bile salts play important role in the emulsification of fat. Without emulsification, the fat digestion is impossible. So for the digestion of the fat, compulsorily bile salts are required, and these bile salts are necessary for emulsification of the fat, without which the fat molecules are not completely digested. Therefore, even though the digestive enzymes are absent in the bile juice, but bile salts are required for the digestion of the lipids or the fats. That is why the bile juice is very important for the digestion. Apart from that, it also contains cholesterol and phospholipid. All these are the contents which are present in the bile juice. What you need to remember? Bile is stored in the gallbladder temporarily. Whenever it is required by the small intestine for the emulsification of the fats, that bile is secreted, but controlling of hepatopancreatic duct is guarded by sphincter of Oddi. This is the only juice which does not contain any digestive enzymes. It contains the pigments. What are the two pigments present in the bile juice? One is bilirubin and another is biliviridin. It contains the bile salts which are necessary for the complete digestion of fat. See, without emulsification of the fat digestion is impossible, and emulsification of the fat is carried out by the bile salts. Then emulsified fat molecules are finally broken down into fatty acid and glycerol. Therefore, emulsification is essential process for the digestion of fats or lipids, and that emulsification is carried out by the salts present in the bile juice. Therefore, bile juice is very important. It also contains cholesterol and phospholipids. Then moving to the next one, The process of bile secretion is called choleresis. What is the name for the process of secreting the bile juice or bile? It is called choleresis. And here is the composition of bile juice. The details about the bile juice. What are the different salts present in the bile juice? How much quantity of the bile juice is produced? Average. Which are the cells secreting the bile juice? So let us concentrate on the composition and other details of bile juice. Amount of the bile juice secreted per day is 800 to 1000 ml on an average, about 700 ml. So normally the range is taken or considered between 800 to 1000 ml daily. Average production is 700 ml. Source means from which cells it is secreted. The bile juice is secreted from hepatic cells. These are the major cells which are present in the hepatic lobule, and hepatic cells are having hepatic duct, and through that duct only the bile juice is transported to gallbladder. What is the storage site of bile juice? It is gallbladder. What is its color? Greenish blue. That is why, the greenish blue color is due to the presence of the pigment called bilirubin and biliviridin. These are the pigments responsible for the color of bile juice, because pigments are the colored substances, and whatever the pigment is present, according to that only the color is exhibited. Then chemical nature, it is alkaline in nature. That is basic property, it is having pH 7.6 to 8.6. Then other details, it contains 92% of the water, and look at the percentage of salts. The salt present in the bile juice is 6%. 6% of the bile juice contains bile salts. It is NaCl, that is sodium chloride, sodium bicarbonate, sodium glycolate, and sodium taurocolate. The sodium glycolate and sodium taurocolate, both of them are necessary for the emulsification of fat. You have to remember these two, sodium glycolate and sodium taurocolate. Both of them are necessary for the emulsification. 0.3% of the bile pigments, it is bilirubin, which is yellow in color, and see, the salt percentage is 6 and pigment percentage is 0.3. Bilirubin is yellow in color and biliviridin is green in color. In jaundice, if the human is suffering from the jaundice, the body becomes yellow. That is because of hyper secretion of bile juice. That is why it is also termed as hyperbilirubinemia. Increased in the production of bilirubin due to excess production of bile juice, or it may be due to any other reason. So patient with the jaundice, in his blood the concentration of bilirubin will be more, and bilirubin is yellow colored pigment, biliviridin is green color pigment. Then 0.3 to 1.2% of fatty acid is present. That is why here cholesterol, and 0.3 to 0.9% cholesterol. See, look at the percentage of cholesterol. 0.3 to 0.9% of the cholesterol is present within the bile juice. 0.3 lecithin. But the interesting fact about the composition of bile juice is it does not contain any digestive enzyme. So what to remember in this one? What is the percentage of bile salt? It is 6%. What is the percentage of bile pigment? 0.3%. What is the color of bilirubin? Yellow, and biliviridin is green in color. What is the percentage of cholesterol in the bile juice? 0.3 to 0.9%. The two important salts which are required for the emulsification of the fat are sodium glycolate and sodium taurocholate. So this is about the composition of the bile juice. Then moving to next one, functions of bile. What are the functions carried out by the bile juice? It makes the acidic food coming from stomach to alkaline so that pancreatic enzymes can act on it. Yes, it is exactly right, because the food which is stored in the stomach, and in the stomach the food is subjected to partial breakdown, because the gastric juice of the stomach contains the enzymes like pepsin and renin, and they are acting on the protein content of the food. But when food transported from the stomach into small intestine, the pH is completely different. Intestinal pH is basic, whereas pH of the stomach is acidic. This bile juice makes the environment of intestine basic, especially for the food which is transported from stomach, so that pancreatic enzymes cannot act on it. Why the pancreatic enzymes require alkaline medium? Because pancreatic juice secreted from the pancreas is alkaline in nature, and the enzymes are sensitive to the pH, so that the pancreatic enzymes require alkaline medium or alkaline environment which is provided by the bile juice for the food which is coming from stomach. The bile contains bile salts that help in proper digestion of the fats by breaking down large fat molecules into smaller ones. Bile salts, sodium glycolate and sodium taurocholate, both of them are required for the digestion of fat, so that enzymes can easily act on it and digest them. This process is called emulsification of fat. The fat emulsification, it is carried out with the help of the bile salts. They combine with the fat molecule, and fat molecules are, after combining with the salts, bile salts, the large fat molecules are broken down into smaller ones, and finally they can be digested with the enzyme. This is called emulsification of fat. So it makes the food coming from stomach into intestine as alkaline for the action of pancreatic enzymes. The bile salts help in fat digestion, and they are necessary for emulsification of fat. So these are the things that you have to remember with respect to the liver, largest gland of the body. Its weight is 1.5 kg. It is bilobed organ, large right lobe and small left lobe. It contains a small pear-shaped structure called gallbladder, and it stores the alkaline juice called bile juice. The liver consists of hepatic lobules covered by the connective tissue called Glissen's capsule. The hepatic lobule contains hepatocytes which are arranged around the central vein. The Kupffer cells which are present in the sinusoid, they remove the bacteria as well as other damaged cells from the blood. The bile is only digestive secretion which is without enzymes, but its salts are very much essential for the digestion of the fat. The hepatocytes are connected to hepatic duct, and they collect the bile produced from hepatocytes. That bile is transported to gallbladder. Duct of the gallbladder is called cystic duct. Hepatic duct and cystic duct they together combine and they form the common bile duct. The common bile duct and the pancreatic duct, they represent hepatopancreatic duct, whose functioning is guarded by the sphincter of Oddi. This is the information that you have to remember with respect to the liver. So let us move to another very interesting gland which is functioning so differently. It is pancreas. Pancreas is second largest gland present near the duodenal loop. Already I told this, but again I am repeating. Duodenum of the small intestine, it receives both the liver as well as pancreas. It is cream colored heterocrine gland. The term is heterocrine. That's what I told. Very interesting gland of the human body. Heterocrine gland, and it has both exocrine and endocrine portion. The endocrine portion of the pancreas is called islets of Langerhans. Yes, here is the image. See, this is the loop of duodenum. It is bent portion. This is duodenum, and at this loop only the pancreas is attached to the duodenum of small intestine. This is cream colored heterocrine gland. It is differentiated into three parts: head, body and tail, and in the center you can see the pancreatic duct. The pancreatic duct and the common bile duct, both of them join or they combine at the region of duodenum, and they represent hepatopancreatic duct, whose functioning is guarded by sphincter of Oddi. Then question is, why the pancreas is called heterocrine gland? It is also called dual gland of the body. There are many glands located within the human body. In the brain, there is pituitary gland, which is master of all the glands. Hypothalamus is also secreting some hormones. Then thyroid is present. Adrenal glands are there. Thymus gland is there. The ovary and testis are also functioning as glands as they secrete some secretions. The glands of the human body are divided into two types: exocrine glands and endocrine glands. And there is clear-cut bifurcation. Some glands are purely endocrine and some glands are purely exocrine. Then what is the difference between exocrine and endocrine gland? If the gland is having a duct, the glands with the ducts are called exocrine glands and their secretion is called juice. Any gland with the duct, if it is having the duct, it is called exocrine gland, and their secretion is called juices. Say for example, hepatocytes are the cells of liver, and they are having the duct hepatic duct. Therefore, liver is exocrine gland because it contains the duct, and through the duct only the juice is secreted. The glands with the ducts are called exocrine glands and their secretion is called the juice. The glands without duct, whose secretion is directly released into the blood, they are called endocrine glands, and the secretion of endocrine glands is called hormone. This is the difference. Glands with the duct, exocrine, secretion is called the juice. Glands without a duct is called endocrine gland and their secretion is called hormone. There is, as I told, there is clear-cut bifurcation of the glands like endocrine and exocrine. But pancreas is functioning so differently. It is having both exocrine part as well as endocrine part. That is why the term heterocrine. It functions as exocrine as well as endocrine. Therefore, it is referred as heterocrine gland, also referred as dual gland, and the endocrine part of the pancreas is known as islets of Langerhans. The name for the endocrine portion of the pancreas is islets of Langerhans. Exocrine portion secretes the juices and endocrine portion secretes the hormone. Then moving to the next part. Yes, exocrine part has pancreatic duct, that is why it is exocrine, that opens into duodenum along with the bile duct. They form hepatopancreatic duct. It secretes alkaline pancreatic juice which contains inactive enzymes. The exocrine part of the pancreas, it secretes alkaline pancreatic juice. Where it is secreted? This is also secreted in the duodenum portion of small intestine along with the bile duct. That is why the common term hepatopancreatic duct. The common hepatic duct as well as pancreatic duct, they open into the duodenum. The function is controlled by sphincter of Oddi. The pancreatic juice is alkaline in nature and it contains inactive enzymes. What is the name for inactive enzymes? Zymogens. They are the inactive form of enzymes, and the inactive enzymes which are present in the pancreatic juice are trypsinogen. It is inactive form. Its active form is trypsin. Then chymotrypsinogen. It is also inactive. Its active form is chymotrypsin. And procarboxypeptidase. See, how to identify whether the given enzyme is in the active condition or it is in the inactive condition. Along with the enzyme name, if the suffix is gen, here it is trypsinogen and it is chymotrypsinogen. This suffix indicate they are the inactive enzymes. If the prefix prorenin, procarboxypeptidase, this is also indication of the enzyme is in the inactive condition. Apart from that, it contains amylase. See, trypsin, chymotrypsin, procarboxypeptidase, all the three are required for protein digestion and they are protein breaking enzymes. Amylase is carbohydrate digesting enzyme. Pancreatic lipase, or simply you can refer it as lipase, this is lipid digesting enzyme, and nucleases, enzymes which act on the nucleic acid. All these different types of enzymes are present in the pancreatic juice. 3 protein digesting enzymes: trypsinogen, chymotrypsinogen and procarboxypeptidase, amylase, lipase and nuclease. All these are the enzymes which are present in the pancreatic juice. Pancreatic juice is alkaline in nature. It is secreted from exocrine part of the pancreas. Pancreatic juice breaks down the fats completely into fatty acid and glycerol. It also breaks down the carbohydrate and protein into simple forms. See, the bile salts which are present in the bile juice, what are those? Sodium glycolate and sodium taurocolate. Both of them, they combine with the fat molecule and the process is emulsification. Finally, the emulsified fat molecules are completely broken down into fatty acid and glycerol by the action of enzyme called lipase. So pancreatic lipase is finally acting on the emulsified fat, and they are converted or broken down into fatty acid and glycerol. Not only for the fat digestion, even it contains the enzymes required for the digestion of proteins as well as for the carbohydrates. So here is the image of both exocrine part of pancreas and endocrine part of pancreas. Exocrine part is called pancreatic acini. Here exocrine acinar and duct tissue. This one is exocrine portion where you can see the ducts, and through them only the pancreatic juice is released into duodenum. And this is endocrine portion which is called islets of Langerhans. The alone pancreas, the single gland, it functions both exocrine and endocrine. Hence it is called the heterocrine gland or dual gland of the human body. Then this structure, it is nothing but duodenum. Moving to next part, endocrine part. Here is the image. Endocrine part of the pancreas is called islets of Langerhans. Each islets of Langerhans consists of 3 types of the cells. Endocrine means what? The ducts are absent. What is the name for secretion? The secretion of the endocrine part is called hormone. And what is the name for endocrine part of the pancreas? Endocrine part of the pancreas is called islets of Langerhans. And this consists of 3 types of the cells. What are those? Alpha cells, beta cells and delta cells. All the 3 are very important, and all the 3 are secreting different hormones. Alpha cells, they produce glucagon. Remember, alpha cell or A cell, sometimes it is marked with capital letter A cell, like that. A cell is also marked for alpha cells. They produce the hormone called glucagon, which convert glycogen stored in the liver into the glucose. So alpha cells of the pancreas or alpha cells of islets of the Langerhans are also called A cells, capital letter A cell, and they produce the hormone glucagon. This term is very important. What is the function of glucagon? Glucagon converts the stored glycogen into glucose. Then question is, what is this glycogen? Excess of the blood sugar, it is converted into glycogen, and glycogen is stored in the liver. The glycogen is stored food material in the animal cell, including the human, and that glycogen is stored inside the liver. Whenever glucose level decreases in the body, the glucagon is secreted from alpha cells, and that glucagon acts on the glycogen of the liver, and it is converted into glucose, and glucose is released into the blood, and this glucose is absorbed or uptaken by the body cells to do different functions. Then beta cells, this is very important. It secretes the hormone called insulin. Opposite function is carried out by the insulin to that of glucagon. It converts glucose into glycogen. Excess of the blood glucose is converted into glycogen by the action of insulin. The insulin converts glucose into glycogen, and this glycogen is then stored in the liver as well as muscles. But more storage of the glycogen occurs in the liver. See, insulin is called hypoglycemic factor because it reduces the blood glucose level. Excess of the blood glucose, it is converted into glycogen by the action of insulin, and deficiency of the insulin, it results in a clinical condition called diabetes mellitus. The diabetes is caused due to the insufficient secretion of insulin, and insulin converts blood glucose into glycogen. Glycogen is stored in the liver. If in the body the glucose level decreases, the same glycogen is converted into glucose but by the action of hormone called glucagon. Then delta cells, they secrete a hormone called somatostatin, which inhibits the secretion of glucagon by the alpha cells and the secretion of insulin nutrients from the gastrointestinal tract. What is the function of the somatostatin? What is this somatostatin? Somatostatin is secreted by delta cells of the pancreas, which is belonging to islets of Langerhans. Somatostatin inhibits the secretion of glucagon by the alpha cells and secretion of insulin nutrients from the gastrointestinal tract. So, somatostatin is having inhibitory action on the secretion of glucagon as well as the insulin nutrients which are secreted from gastrointestinal tract. That means whatever the nutrient is required for the secretion of insulin, its inhibition is carried out by the somatostatin produced from delta cells. So these are the three types of cells which are present in islets of Langerhans, which is part of endocrine portion of the pancreas. Here in the image you can see all the three types of cells. This portion is representing islets of Langerhans, and islets of Langerhans are in the central location. They are surrounded by pancreatic acini, which is exocrine portion of the pancreas. Islets of Langerhans, endocrine portion, pancreatic acini, exocrine portion. The three different types of the cells you can see here. These are the beta cells, which is the hormone secreted by them. It is insulin. It converts glucose into glycogen. And these blue color marked cells are alpha cells. They secrete glucagon, and glucagon converts glycogen into glucose. And these light pink shaded cells are delta cells. They secrete the somatostatin, which is having inhibitory effect on the secretion of glucagon and insulin nutrients from the gastrointestinal tract. So this is about the endocrine part of pancreas. Then finally, the last bit of today's video, it is about the composition of the pancreatic juice and the rest information with respect to endocrine part of the pancreas. Endocrine tissue is a minor part of the pancreas. It represents only 1%. Exocrine portion is maximum in the pancreas. Endocrine portion of the pancreas represents only 1%, and it is called islets of Langerhans. So it consists of the types of the cells: A cells or alpha cells, B cells or beta cells, D cells or delta cells. And one more is mentioned, F or PP cells. This is polypeptide hormone secreting cell, previously known as F cell, but now it is called PP cell. P for poly and another P for peptide. Polypeptide hormone secreting cells. Glucagon hormone secreted by The alpha cells or A cells, beta cells secrete insulin, delta cells secrete somatostatin. This already I explained in the previous slide. The PP or F cells secrete pancreatic polypeptide hormone. Pancreatic polypeptide. That is why PP. To control somatostatin. See how interesting it is. Somatostatin is having inhibitory effect on the secretion of both glucagon as well as insulin nutrients from the gastrointestinal tract. The pancreatic polypeptide hormone secreted from PP cell or F cell, it controls the somatostatin. The secretion passes directly into the blood. That is why they are the hormone and the part is called endocrine, because this don't have any duct. Pancreatic secretion is stimulated by cholecystokinin and secretin. These are the hormones which are supporting the secretion of pancreas. Cholecystokinin and secretin are the contents which control the secretion of pancreatic secretion. One more term you remember, PP or F, P for pancreatic polypeptide, which is secreting pancreatic polypeptide hormone to control the somatostatin. So pancreatic hormone secretion is regulated by cholecystokinin and secretin. Then last bit of today's video, it is about pancreatic juice and its composition. What is the amount secreted every day? It is 1 to 1.51 per day. Chemical nature, it is alkaline. What is its pH? 7.1 to 8.2. Control of secretion, that means pancreatic juice secretion is controlled by hormonal and normal mechanism. Secretin hormones stimulate production of more alkaline pancreatic juice but low enzyme in content. Pancreozymin or cholecystokinin, another hormone, it is also called pancreozymin. This stimulates the production of enzymes rich in the pancreatic juice. See, the two hormones are mentioned here. One is secretin and another is cholecystokinin. Secretin supports the secretion of pancreatic juice, but the content of enzymes is very less when it is stimulated by secretin. The cholecystokinin also stimulates the pancreatic gland to secrete the pancreatic juice, but this is more rich in the enzymes. Then chemical composition, water 99%, remaining enzymes and salts. The pancreatic juice contains inactive enzymes trypsinogen, chymotrypsinogen, procarboxypeptidase. All the three are in the inactive conditions. Their active forms are trypsin, chymotrypsin and carboxypeptidase. All the first three are required for protein digestion. Amylase required for protein digestion, lipase for lipid digestion, nuclease for nucleic acid breakdown. Trypsinogen is activated by an enzyme called enterokinase. Hope you remember. This is present in the intestinal juice, intestinal mucosa, secreted by intestinal mucosa, and this enterokinase converts inactive trypsinogen into active trypsin. Conversion of trypsinogen into active trypsin is carried out by enterokinase. Remember, enterokinase is not present in the pancreatic juice, it is present in the intestinal juice, which in turn activates other enzymes in the pancreatic juice. Once the trypsinogen is activated by enterokinase, the remaining enzyme activation, that is chymotrypsinogen into chymotrypsin, procarboxypeptidase into carboxypeptidase, this conversion is carried out by the trypsin. Only for the initial conversion, activation, trypsinogen into active trypsin is alone carried out by the enterokinase, whereas inactive chymotrypsinogen and procarboxypeptidase are activated by the action of trypsin. So this is about the two important digestive glands associated with the alimentary canal, the liver and pancreas. Hope this explanation is clear for you. Go through the video, try to remember the terms so that you can solve the MCQs very easily if you have the clear knowledge of the topic. Thank you.